Welcome into a special homecoming edition of the Coaches Show. We got some basketball preview with both of our basketball coaches coming up, but we want to start out with our cross-country coach, Coach Spradlin, who was named this past weekend the Women's Conference Cross-Country Coach of the Year. So, Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell us a little about the success that the women had this past weekend in the conference meet.
Oh, well, they had quite a bit of success, I guess. They finished second overall as a team, which is by far our women's highest finish at the conference championship over the years. So we were pretty excited about that. I think the award, Coach of the Year award, stems from the fact that the women made such a big jump from where they've been the past few years into second place. And they decided to attribute that to me and not to the runners, so I'll gladly take the award. But they did really well. Our top girl, Madison Grant, came in fifth overall. And then we scattered three runners in the late teens, like low 20s. And so we wound up, just ahead of a few of the other teams to get second place. It was close. It was very close between us and the third and fourth and fifth place teams. So pretty big gap between us and the first place team. I'll admit that.
So talk about the competitiveness of the conference that you just sort of alluded to, where everybody's really close together in the middle. And what were the things that made that jump possible when the conference is this competitive?
Okay. Well, of course, after last school year, the Mid-South Conference lost several schools. So we have 7 schools now with cross-country teams. The University of the Cumberlands in Kentucky is the women have been ranked in the top 10 pretty much all season. They won pretty handily. Their men won pretty handily too. But once you get past that, the conference is just very competitive within itself. There were 8 points in the women's race that separated us in second place from the fifth place team. And so, fortunately, that's, I guess we were 3 points ahead of the third place team. So we just, every girl needed to beat each girl that she did beat. We only had a couple spots to spare there that would have been a big difference between second and fifth place, and it's just a few bodies get across the finish line faster than others. So I was very proud of them. It means they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They got out there and they raced. They beat other runners. That's the point.
So if there was a coaching thing that you could point to over the past few years, how has the team grown? What changes have you made?
Well, we've brought in some. We've been fortunate in the recruiting over the past few years, and of course our top girl, Madison, is a senior this year, and she has continually, gotten better and better over the past few years. And I think as she's done that, she's also really kind of raised some expectations, and generally made our team aware of what's possible. We saw that a number of years back on the men's side when Tyler Alverson was here and started qualifying for nationals on a very regular basis. And all of a sudden, I think other guys saw that, okay, we can do this because he was doing it here. And of course, recruits see that, so they're more attracted to the program. And then once you're here, it becomes part of the possibilities, part of the expectations, part of what we know we can do because we've done it before. And so I think Madison was very much kind of broke that glass ceiling, if you will, for the girls team. For us, certainly on the track side, Jess Musselman did that last year with her conference championship in track. So now I think there's the girls, all the girls have seen that Freed-Hardeman girls are going to nationals and are winning at conference and are all conference runners. And so they know that that's just, we have that potential, we have that capability. So I think that's part of it. Part of it is just the success tends to breed success in some ways. But also a number of years back, even before Madison got here, I started to make a lot of tweaks just in the differences between training men and women. I think for a number of years I fell into the trap of just thinking women's bodies were just smaller men's bodies, and they're all doing the same workouts and things like that. And so I started to make some significant changes in some of the training that the women and men do. I guess significant to me. It wouldn't look significant if you look at the training sheet, and not just fewer reps or fewer intervals or something like that, slightly lower mileage. Just doing a few things a little bit differently with recovery time and the types of more intense workouts they do and the frequency of those and things like that. I think that's paid off. I mean, we're having good results now, so I assume it's paid off.
Paid off this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to change after this year, but so I think there's a number of things. Right now, the whole team, our men's and women's teams are, obviously they compete separately, of course. But I mean, we travel together, we practice at the same time, so they're very integrated in a lot of ways, just as far as their interaction. And the chemistry on the team this year is just phenomenal. I mean, it's normally good. I generally, that's what makes coaching fun. Coaching Freed-Hardeman fun is I like being around all of our runners. But this year in particular, there's just a real kind of uniformity of purpose and really pushing each other and encouraging each other. But also they have a lot of fun together. I mean, practices are fun because there's a lot of laughter and a lot of just goofing off. And when it's time to go, when it's time to get down to work, they do it. But I think that certainly has helped too, and that's just for the girls and the guys. The people we have here right now, the athletes we have on the team, are really good at just creating that sense of belonging and sense of kind of a little bit of freedom to be themselves, not be afraid to mess up. No one's going to jump on them, if they have one bad race or one bad practice, or it's just not that. That's not the environment we have. So I think it's worked out pretty well. It's nurturing enough and understanding enough. I think that it's allowed people to push themselves without fear of failure, I guess.
Yeah. So what's next for Madison then? She qualified for cross country national championships. Tell us where that is, where we can follow her next.
All right. So she will, by virtue of she finished 5th overall. So Cumberland's the team won. So Cumberland's
team
goes to nationals, and then the next 4 individuals who are not on the winning team go to nationals. And Madison was the 3rd of those 4 girls. So she'll be at nationals, the NAIA National Championship meet, which is in Vancouver, Washington, which is just right across the river from Portland, Oregon, and that's the Friday before Thanksgiving, so just less than 2 weeks from now.
The Friday the 17th.
Friday the 17th. Thank you. So that's what's next for her. We're excited about that. It's actually funny to talk about what happened in the race. Of course, as all teams do, we were well aware of the girls in the conference and how they've done all season, as far as their times and the wins they've had and things like that. And so Madison knew there were basically 4 girls who should qualify, who were not on the University of Cumberland. We knew who the 4 individual qualifiers should be, but then you also know there are a few other people that if the stars align and they just have one of those career days, they could also be there. And so our goal in the race with Madison, we knew the girls who came in 1st and 2nd, the times they've been putting down all year are just really fast, and so the goal was then to qualify. So if the opportunity arises, as it did for Madison a couple of weeks ago, to win the race, go for it. But especially the girl in 1st place, if she's doing what she's supposed to do, she's going to be hard to catch. And so qualifying for nationals and being all conference becomes kind of the goal at that point. And so we're watching in the race everybody who's not a University of the Cumberland's runner, because they're going to go as a team, so it's almost like they don't matter to us. We're looking at the next 4 individuals, and by the first mile, it was a 6K race, so by the first mile the order was set and you kind of knew it as long as nobody messed up.
It stayed that same way.
Which again, it's easy for me to say. I'm watching. They're out there having to run the rest of the race. So you say just stay in that position and you're fine. It's a lot easier said than done, but that's exactly what they did. And there's a little bit of jockeying in position in that that top, about 3rd place to 7th place, 8th place. There's some movement in there, but they got in that order. I'm yelling at Madison in the race what position she's in as far as the individual qualifiers, and she's looking around. She's a smart runner. She knows exactly what she's doing. So she's watching that. She knows where she is. And like I said, the last couple miles of the race, it was all the girls in the race pretty much more or less staying in that position to the finish line, which is exactly what on paper it was supposed to be before the race started. So it worked out really well. I'm really excited for her. So yeah, she'll have the national championship for cross country in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that is the NAIA marathon that she and 3 other of our runners have qualified for. So she'll be doing that a couple weeks after the cross country championships. So she's still got a busy month ahead of her.
Okay,
but that's what's next.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations again. We really appreciate you taking some time. We'll look forward to following Madison and the future success of both cross-country programs. Yeah. So we'll be back right after this break with Coach Epperson and our women's basketball preview.
It's going to be a Longhorn set here as they get the screen from Odom, and Crouch gets the double team. Now back to Odom. Odom shot is good with the and one. Styles looks over to Eckerly. Eckerly gets the screen. She won't use it. And nice pass under to Odom. Odom off the bank is good.
Welcome back to this episode of the Coaches Show. We're here with women's basketball coach, Coach Epperson, and Coach 4-1 to start the year. And we're playing really well defensively, I think, right? Giving up about 53 a game. So just expound a little bit on our defense early in the season here.
Yeah, doing a great job on the defensive end. That's really our calling card. Right now there's a thing called the Massey efficiency for defense. Basically, at this point, the best metric you can use. And basically it's how much different does your opponent score versus you versus normal. And so basically our opponents score about 11 points different than what's normal when they play against us. So we're proud of that. It's something that when we want to be so good at it, we know we want to continue to get better. But we take a lot of pride in that because I think that's how we won at the end of the year last year. I think that's how you make championship runs is based on defense. If you always rely on your offense, that can be very streaky.
Yeah. So what's one thing in practice every day that you put, like that you preach? What's a coaching, something you're just constant on with everybody?
Transition defense is really important for us. A lot of teams in our conference and just college basketball in general, transition offense is how they score a lot of their points. And so, and with that hand in hand is communication is vital to our program. We talk about that if you want to be on the floor, you've got to communicate. And that goes to transition defense, but it also carries on to every other part of our defense then.
Yeah. And then offensively, we've had a really balanced attack so far, right? Four leading scorers in 5 games. So how do you feel about our offensive so far?
I think what you said is big. I know last game we had 41 points coming off the bench. And so we've had production in our starting line also coming off the bench as well. And so that speaks well of them being prepared to get in the game, but also speaks about our depth. One of the things I think that we have as a benefit this year is we do have more depth than we did last year. And we're just trying to find different ways to take advantage of that. Early on, we've been able to do that. And continuing to find the right lineups together and putting them together is big, especially in the non-conference schedule, is getting to toy around a little bit with those lineups, but kind of figure that out. One of the things that's really cool that our SID comes up with that he just printed out for me is, I think he said we had like 90-some different combinations of different lineups that are together, which is crazy mathematically, but it plus minuses every group. And so after every game, I'm looking back at what does it look like the best lineups are together and which groups just don't work as well together. And so that's been fun for us. It's early in this process. I mean, 5 games is a very small sample size, but it's also big enough where we can start getting some trends to build on. So.
And I know, like, there hasn't been, I'm not looking at the numbers you are, but there hasn't been a lot of drop-off. And watching the games this past weekend, you say, you bring the bench in, and they're right there as far as competition-wise with the starters.
And it is. And, and you're missing a Rachel Satterley, who was our leading scorer last year, is still not in the mix. So when you add that to the mixture, there's going to be a lot. And it makes practice every day really, really competitive. And one thing that's been different the first time we did this year is we had the projected starting type group, the more experienced group, go against the group that wasn't, and the group that wasn't beat them in practice the first time we did that. And that was fun as far as it's like every day you better bring it because the other group is. So.
And you see that when you play other teams in college basketball. I mean, you see crazy results. Hey, how did that team beat that team every night? And so that makes it easier to coach that.
It does. And it'll help us through the ups and downs of sickness to injuries and things like that. I hope it'll give us more consistency during the year. Yeah,
that's awesome. We'll preview, we have homecoming this weekend. Give us a little preview of UT Southern and what the game's going to be like.
Kind of an odd situation. You don't have very often where within a week and a half of playing a team, you play them again. And so, but obviously an in-state team, a team that plays very physical, very aggressive. Last time they really got after us. Their pressure at times broke down our offense. We weren't able to run it. So this week we'll be working on, okay, how do we still run and do the things we want to do against a team that does pressure us so much. They don't have much of a post game, and so last time they did a good job of forcing us to take outside shots. So they won. Now that won as far as winning.
You took a lot of outside shots. Yeah.
Now we shot 60-some% from three.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well we shoot them if you leave us that open, and so it worked out well for us. And again, if they give us that open, we got to take them. But we'll work in some different ways that hopefully we can take advantage of the inside as well, because we want to be a balanced team. I think that's a big thing for us moving forward this year. Is last year we may have been a little more guard heavy as far as emphasis. This year we want to be a little bit more balanced. And so when a team doesn't have strength inside, let's make sure we can still take advantage of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We're really looking forward to homecoming this weekend. Hope you guys enjoy all the festivities of the week. And we'll be back with Coach Stutts right after this break.
They go back to Colbert, and Lax blows by. Now over to Lane, and Lane! Slam! Dunk! Geraldo! And that one thrown up to Devin Hill. Devin Hill slams it down with authority.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're here with men's basketball coach Drew Stutts. And Coach, only 2 games so far this year, but really good defensive intensity it seems like in both games. So just talk about the defensive side of the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we've worked towards the last few years to really build and improve on. First couple of years, we were probably a little bit more offensive-minded, but the last 2 years, we've really honed in on the defense. I thought at UT Southern, we did some really good things. They're always a potent offense. They've got a lot of shooters, drivers, just well-rounded team, present a lot of problems to you. And, they got off to a good start and hit some tough shots, but there for a period of about 10 or 12 minutes, we only gave up 4 points. And against them at their place, that's really hard to do. So, last game at home, we played Reinhardt at home, second game of the week, and did some good things in the second half. First half, a little sloppy defensively, but second half, we really settled in and did some
the last 10 minutes or so, they didn't have very many points.
No, we did a little better in the second half than we did the first. I thought the first we were a little loose, but overall, good start.
And when we were at practice earlier this year with our projects, there was a coaching cue that you gave that I really liked. What is it that you tell your guys every day about pressuring the ball and how they should pick up with that?
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of those cues. But we really focus on getting our hand on the basketball. We want the offense to feel us and be a little uncomfortable. We don't want to overpressure to create offense for them, but at the same time, we want to be there, have a hand on the ball, have our nose on the basketball, but just consistently apply pressure. If you just think about the game of basketball as an offensive-minded player, you want space and you want to be comfortable. So we just kind of take that approach of just trying to constantly have enough pressure on the basketball.
Okay. And how do you feel about offense so far? You guys have obviously scored 100 against Reinhardt. That was a little different down the stretch there, but how do you feel?
Efficient. Just playing to our strengths for the most part right now. We're getting about 1.1, 1.2 points per possession right now. Really using our defense to get stops, play in transition, get steals. Think back-to-back games last week, 21 turnovers, 22 turnovers forced. So anytime you can get those stops and then get out in transition and have numbers and have an advantage, it tends to make you a good offensive team, but well-rounded as well. J.J. Wheat came out, had a really good game against UT Southern. Hunter Skerlock's been consistent. Geraldo Lane led us in scoring, and that's what you're going to see throughout the year. There's not going to ever be one player where it's like, hey, we're relying on this guy to score the ball. I think we'll have 7, 8, 9 guys that will be double-digit scorers at times this year, and so that makes the game fun. It makes us hard to prepare for.
Yeah, and it makes everybody enjoy playing more, right? When they can all share the ball and no one cares about who the leading scorer is.
Absolutely. It's fun to play on an unselfish team where nobody really cares about who's scoring, and we're all about winning. That's the bottom line, and it's not that way everywhere. It sounds like an easy thing, but this game tends to become a selfish game at times where you start wanting to score your points and get your recognition, but we're really worried about us, not about individual accolades.
That's awesome. So tell us a little about Tougaloo. I know we've got homecoming coming up this weekend. Everybody's going to be excited for that. Should be a big crowd.
Yeah, Tougaloo, I mean, good team. It'd be an awesome environment. Other night we had a good environment, but homecoming's always a packed house and fun to play in. And, you know, we try to always schedule somebody that's a good team. You know, it'd be easy to schedule an easy win and, you know, win a game by 30 or 40, but we try to schedule somebody that's pretty good. And Tougaloo was an Elite 8 team last year. So I can't remember their exact number of wins, close to 30 wins last year. You know, they got a Division I transfer from Alcorn State that led them in scoring the first game this year against LSU Alexandria. You know, always a lot of good athletes, play really hard. They're going to be hungry to come in here and try to get a win against us. But talented team, and we'll really start prepping for them here in the coming days.
All right. Well, we're really looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll see all the fans out there on homecoming. And that's this episode of The Coaches Show. If you're looking for more information on FHU Athletics, you can go to our website, gofhulions.com, or you can follow all of our social media accounts at GoFHULions on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you want more information about the Director's Circle or Linebackers, there's a link in the description below, and there's also a video with more information that should appear on your screen right here. Thank you so much for watching today. Go Lions!